What's good, YouTube? Hope y'all doing well. In this video, I'm gonna show y'all the method that a lot of big producers use to make really hard placement ready trap beats. And overall, the formula is pretty simple. I'll just go step by step, just construct a beat using these principles so y'all can see how it works in real time. And I think that's enough said, so let's jump right into it. All right, so jumping into FL Studio, I'm gonna start off with a tempo of like 145. So the first thing, you wanna have one really good central or main melody idea. Basically, we're just gonna open up a sound and we're gonna get one really hard melody and just kind of build the rest of the beat around that. So for this, I'm gonna open up Serum. I'm just gonna go to this Serum bank right here and just go through the synth sounds and see if I can find something I like. Alright, something like this should work pretty well. For the piano roll here, you can kind of do whatever, but typically something kind of repetitive works really well with this, and it's kind of built around a minor chord. That's usually the easiest way to do it. So for example, if I'm using like D minor, we can use this kind of as a basis and move these individual notes around to kind of get different sounds out of it. So for example, just a minor triad sounds like this by itself. And then if we move this up to the 6th note in the scale, or if we move this down 1/2 step. So there's a lot of things you can do with just this, like those 5 notes I just showed y'all. And that's pretty much what I'm gonna use to fill out this melody. So I think I'm just gonna use pairs of notes here in the C sharp minor scale. So I'm gonna start with C sharp and A, the 1st note and the 6th note in the scale. And then I'll move this down a 1/2 step. And I'll copy this over, do something like this. I think I'll move this down to the octave of G sharp. And I think I'll copy this over and switch this up. I think this is pretty good as a loop, and like I said, just keep it simple and repetitive, and we can just have this for like the full 8-bar pattern. And so now to add a little bit of an extra layer to it, I think I'm just gonna put down some high notes up here. I think I'm actually going to make these a little bit quicker, so do something like this. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole first melody right there. Pretty simple and repetitive basis right here with this little top melody going on. So once you have your main melody right here, the next thing you want to do is add a bass melody of some sort. Not necessarily a sub bass, something like a low piano or a brass. So for the low piano sound, I'm going to open up this preset in Keyscape, and I'm just going to go down to the low octave here and just put a note on the root note. And just copy that over. So we just have it hit again. And then I'm going to copy it down 1 octave. And lower this velocity a little bit so you get a layered bass note pattern of this. I'm also going to put down a brass pattern too, because I feel like I might want to use this instead of a bass piano. So I'm just going to grab this brass one shot from my resonance kit and do the same thing. Place one here and then copy those down an octave and lower the velocities. So melodically, I think we've pretty much got the entire basis set. I want to clone this original melody, and I'm going to make just an octave down version of what we have here. So I'm just going to hit Control C in this pattern, open up the other one, hit Control V, and then Control down arrow to move it down an octave. And so we'll have the octave down version just as a switch up, which sounds like this. And I think I'm actually going to delete these top notes here, just so it's a little simpler. So I'm going to take these first 2 melodies here and route them to a mixer track. And in here, I want to start by just adding some subtle effects to it. First is going to be micro shift. You can just use the default chorus if you want. And then I'm going to put on an EQ to kind of filter out these lower noises here. So So now that we got these, I do actually want to add one more melody. So I'm going to open up Serum again. And there was a sound in the same bank that caught my ear earlier, but I didn't use it. I think it was this one right here. And I'm just going to put a super basic counter melody down, similar to the one up here. And I think for this, I'm going to put a few effects on it, halftime being one of them. So first thing I'm going to do is open up Portal just so I can give this a little bit more texture. And then throw on an EQ to cut out some of those lows. And then we'll throw on some halftime. Throw this an octave up. And then so pairing it with what we got so far, I'll throw the brass sound back in. So it's just a little subtle counter melody that we can use in the arrangement that just makes the beat a little less boring. Pretty much got all that. The next thing is just to put down some drums, which are really centered around a hard-hitting 808 pattern. So I'll go ahead and just grab some drum sounds and start filling things out. All right, so the first thing that I want to lay down for the drums is the snare, which just sits on the middle note or the third note of each measure here. So once you got one, do this and just hold Control B and fill it out the rest. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and do the hi-hats. And for this, I wanna keep them a little bit spaced out. You could do a two-step if you want to, but that's kind of what I normally do. I wanna do something a little different with it. And I'm gonna put down one roll using the 1/6 beat snapping right here. We pretty much got most of the drums down. Now I'm going to move on to the 808, which is really the key behind making sure that this hits hard. Honestly, it's pretty simple. You're just going to follow the root note here, make a roll or two if you want to, and that's pretty much about it. And just to go along with that, I'm going to go ahead and put down a kick pattern that kind of layers with the 808. Now that we got all this, I'm going to go ahead, route that to a mixer track, and just level it out real quick. And for the master track, go ahead, put on an EQ here. With a soft clipper. And what does the max sound like? And now this brings us to the last thing, which is the arrangement. So we got this whole little pattern here. Right click and hit split by channel. Select all these, drag them into the playlist here. And so the omnisphere pattern we didn't use, so I'm gonna just delete that. And we've pretty much got our little 4 pieces right here, and then our drums. All I'm gonna do is just duplicate it over and over and just kind of carve out what I want to keep, what I don't. So for starters, I know for at least the first 3 or so 8-bar loops, I'm gonna keep this original top melody here. This will be like the intro with the first hook. And then for this section here, I'm gonna have 2 8-bar loops of the lower melody. And this will be like the verse section. And then I think I'm gonna delete all this and just have kind of an empty part right here, which would be like a break or a bridge or something, and then just kind of duplicate that again once I've finished arranging this first part, and just have that on loop, and that'll pretty much be the whole beat. As for this counter melody right here, I think I'll keep it out of the first part, and then I feel like these might conflict a little bit because they're kind of in the same pitch range. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete those out of there. And then the brass keeps playing over and over again, so I think I'm gonna give it a break here. I think for the most part, that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. I might take the kick out here and there. I'll take it out right here and here. Maybe I'll take the open hat out, just make this really simple. Pretty much once I have that, duplicate it, and that's the whole arrangement right there. And optionally, you can put some sound effects in if you want to. You know, you could spice up your beat a little bit doing that. One, for example, is just a riser when it goes back into the drums right here. Have a little riser to kind of bring it back in. But that's not absolutely necessary. If you just want to keep it really bare bones like what I got right now, you can just roll with that. And as a bit of a switch up, I'm actually going to bring this bass piano pattern that we had earlier and just kind of fill out some of these empty spaces here. That's gonna do it for this one. Appreciate y'all for sticking all the way to the end. Hope y'all found this one pretty helpful. This one's kind of a simpler video compared to like what I normally do, but that's all I got, and I'll see you on the next one.